Hello, Mark Crossfield here with Golf Online 360 show every Monday 7 PM, and we're talking handicaps. So many people online getting the idea of handicaps and the handicap system, certainly in the UK, which is what I'm going to base my ideas from. If you're in different countries, you can work your systems around this. I know they're very similar. Getting it completely wrong, like embarrassingly wrong, and it makes me wonder what games some of you out there are actually playing. Let's get stuck in. So handicaps. Best thing about our sport is the handicap system. It allows anyone to play with anyone. So we've recently done a vlog with a 5 handicapper. His name's Steve, picked him from Twitter. And we had some people questioning his handicap. And it absolutely, me and Matt were amazed at some of the kind of naivety of the comments coming in. It was I found it quite embarrassing actually for them, because it shows that they obviously have no idea about golf and the handicap system. Now, there'll be loads of golfers out there and watching this video who don't opt into the handicap system, and that is all great and good. Social golf is a massive part of golf, or recreational golf, I think they call it. So that is not a problem. My issue is with people commenting about other people's handicaps and standards when they blatantly don't understand the system. So we're going to talk a little bit about the system, just so hopefully it helps a few people understand, and people looking at trying to get into the game and get a handicap, what they need to do and what it's all about. So the handicap system, it's very complicated, so there's lots of good websites that will go into more depth for you. But look, breaking it down, let's say a par 70. So the course requires you to hit the ball 70 times. You add all the par 3s, the 5s up, there's a number. It's a par of the course. Let's say that's 70. Now then, the course will allocate itself a standard scratch score based on the level of play of that course, so easy or hard. So I've played some courses which are par 70, but the standard scratch is 68, and I've played other courses in different areas where the par is 70, standard scratch is 72 or 73. So what the standard scratch means, if I'm playing the par 70 course standard scratch 68, I have to shoot 2 under par on that course to play to my handicap of 0. So if I'm a scratch golfer, which I used to be when I was a kid and don't have a handicap now because I'm a pro, so I'm not governed by these rules anymore, but when I was, I would look at that course and think, right, I've got to shoot 2 under par to kick me off to have a chance of not getting my handicap going up. Now, to complicate things, what would happen is there's also a competition standard scratch score on the day as well. So let's say the standard scratch was 68. The whole field plays the course, and their scores reflect that course was playing harder that day. So people were playing bad, the weather was bad, the greens weren't great, the wind blew, those kind of things. The competition standard scratch score can go up or down from the standard scratch score. So it could go up to. So I can now shoot 2 under par, which was the standard scratch par, if you like, off scratch. But I'm now going to come down 0.2. My handicap's going to come down because I've shot lower than the average of the field, basically. And if we take it to the 70 par, where the standard scratch is 72, let's say I shoot level par there, I shoot 70, and the standard scratch goes up 2 as well. So the competition standard scratch, that goes to 74. Now what happens is I'm coming down. I'm coming down 4 shot, or 0.4 is how it works in the category I would be in. Now, if you want to look at different categories in handicaps, because different kind of brackets of numbers, so higher handicaps, category 4, coming down to category 3, category 2, and then category 1, which is what I used to be in. Your handicap moves different amounts. This video will go on forever if we start talking about that. What I want people to start getting their head around is the fact that the courses we play have a standard scratch score when you're often looking at par. And there lies the fundamental issue with your understanding of the game that we're playing in the video. So if I'm playing with a handicap golfer who has a handicap. Now, other things that happen. I've got the card here from the 2 courses we played. We played the Brabazon at the Belfry, and we also played the PGA as well as the Derby. I've got the Brabazon course here, I think. No, sorry, this is the PGA. Now, the PGA off the blues, which is what we were playing off the backs, is a par 72. But the standard scratch score is 74, so it's 2 above the par. So say Steve's handicap of 5 would actually be 7 on that day if you're playing to par. where people would think he's shooting over his handicap, he's actually shooting to the standard scratch score. Now, the complication for you all as well, which you're missing, is on the day we played, very windy, it was wet, it was snowing and freezing. If you put any tournament around that course, it would become what we call a non-qualifier. So what that means is the standard scratch would go 3 above the competition standard scratch would go 3 above the standard scratch score, which instantly makes it a non-qualifier, which means you can't get your handicap going up. You can only come down if you shoot underneath the competition standard scratch. So it's 2 above the par. Now, if it goes up 3, that's 5 above the par, which gives Steve, off a handicap of 5, he's actually got 10 shots. So if he shoots 9 over on that day, he's coming down. His handicap is coming down. Do you see where I'm going here? Now, there's also a thing called a buffer zone when you play in golf, and your handicaps have a buffer zone. I think it's different for different categories. So let's say Steve off 5 is a category 2 golfer in the handicap system. He can also go 2 above the competition standard scratch and still not go up. It's saying you're within 2 of the average play of that day. You don't deserve to go up. So people watching and commenting on people's handicaps when they don't understand this basic system. Now, it sounds really complicated, and it is at the start, but it's when you get your head around it, it's very basic, and it makes a lot of sense, because what it really does is it levels everyone playing around different countries, or different parts of the country, in different conditions on very different courses, and it allows us, for our handicaps still to be have merit. It allows Steve to come down and play against us and it be a fair game, because his handicap is a true representation of what he's going to do on that course on that day. Right, other misconceptions around handicaps that I see is around clubhead speed. He doesn't swing fast enough to play off that handicap. It is one of the most craziest statements I've ever heard. I think it's an internet-based kind of statement, a real naive understanding of the skills you need to play this game. Power definitely is a box that needs ticking, but there are people who can play off very low handicaps who don't tick the top boxes of, say, a power one, of a speed element. I mean, I played off a scratch handicap when I was 16. No speed in me, a scrawny kid and not really hitting it very far at all. So we did a video very recently where I captured some data on a course with Tom from Your Golf Traveller, you'll meet in videos coming tomorrow, Rory, which you know, and Matt and myself. Now, I had the slowest ball speed off most of the tees we captured on our tee shots on. Where out of that group of players, I would argue I've probably got the best playing record and one of the better players. So I am bucking that trend. I've got hundreds of data from my GC2 HMT where you cannot predict the handicap from the speed. Variations of speed playing at variations of handicaps. Lots of high handicappers producing lots of speed, as well as lots of low handicappers not producing that much speed, and vice versa. So people rating on speed, distance hit, again to me, is just crazy. And it's one of the problems in our game, to be honest. I've seen it all through my life in golf. I remember playing at courses and people would say, oh, do you remember old Jim from this course? Best ball striker, that's the one they always say. Best ball striker you'd ever know. Oh, was he? Okay, how did he do? Oh, he's working in Sainsbury's now. What, did he win anything? No, he didn't win anything. He was just the best ball striker. So many people are forgetting to rate people, and I think it's an internet-based thing, and it worries me a bit, actually. I see it amongst vlogs and people doing vlogs and stuff. It kind of, this YouTube handicapping system that's kind of evolving is actually misleading lots of people in understanding or not understanding what abilities or what skill levels are actually about, rather than looking at, say, performance over time, which is exactly what a handicap does. So I've got some questions from Facebook and Twitter coming through about handicaps, which I said I'd answer. I'm trying to keep this video as short as I can, but handicaps is a massive subject. We are barely scratching the surface here. I will do more. But one from Facebook here, Gary asked, do you think the big golf clubs like St Andrews make you have a minimum handicap before you can play, or should all clubs be open to everyone? Look, Gary, for me, that question's quite easy. It's more about the fact that you will not enjoy yourself around that course if you can't play it. R&A, based at St Andrews, have done lots of good studies showing that lots of people play off too far back at tees, and that ruins the enjoyment of the game, and maybe that's one of the reasons why lots of people are dropping out. So I totally understand why there are handicap guidelines for different courses. The Brabazon, like where we played, I think some handicaps there just wouldn't, I mean, 18th, some levels of golfers just would never finish that hole. Is that really that much fun? So I don't mind. I think it's a good thing. I think it's a good thing for you and the venue and the pace of play in general. Okay, great question on Twitter here from Steve saying, #AskAGG. Should we use the slope rating like the US do, i.e. course difficulty taken into account? Now, I don't understand this question, and it makes me a bit concerned. That makes me think that Steve doesn't understand the handicap system, which hopefully this video helps him. As I understand it, standard scratch stroke competition standard scratch is doing that exactly without understanding exactly what the slope system is. Maybe post comments down below, but that comment there, I get a few like that, and it confuses me because I don't see the difference. Okay, another great question here from Sean, #AskAGG. Is the handicap system different in each country? Would an Australian handicap stand up in UK or USA? Yes, it's pretty much, it's different in different countries, but they do stand up. I've played with lots of Australian and American golfers through my life. Used to play in big amateur events with people from all around Europe, and they absolutely did stand up. People's standards were very true. You get the odd country where you get some strange handicaps coming out, but if they're policed well by the golf clubs, because you got to remember at the end of the day, golf handicaps can be, to a certain extent, self-controlled. So if you haven't got the right infrastructure at your golf club to make sure people are checking, that people are posting cards when they play in competitions, you know, get roll-ups, some people kind of maybe don't enter properly and don't enter, those kind of things, then you will get the odd kind of fringe handicaps, but on a whole, I see it across Europe, Australia, US, UK, they stand up quite consistently. Yes, they do, even though they are slightly different systems. Okay, great question to finish here. It's a cheeky one. What would Lockie be off with his amateur status back? So if he got his amateur status, what handicap would Coach Lockie be off? He got to +1, I think, which was lower than I got. He'd be off scratch or 1 or 2. He'd be off scratch easily if he put any time into his game. People who can't see that, or I think always makes me laugh again. It's a very clear showing of how people don't really understand abilities. Coach would be off whatever he wants to be off because he's got enough speed in there. He's got a great short game. He does lose the ball, but he makes birdies as well. So he can lose those shots and then get them back. He can play. He just doesn't play that much. And we quite enjoy watching him hit him on the older paths, don't we?